Hello and welcome to quiz class. Let's get ready to test your knowledge on 100 questions on general knowledge. So let's begin with question number 1. Which among these is an Iron Age Syro-Hittite temple which hosted the colossal basalt lion excavated by archaeologists in 1955? King Solomon's Temple, Ain Dara, or Mumbakot, Syria? Ain Dara, Syria. Can you name the world's longest oil pipeline that began functioning in 1964, whose starting point is in Russia and reaching various points in Eastern Europe? Fairbanks, Anchorage, or Druzhba Pipeline? The Druzhba Pipeline. The original version of the smiley face was invented by a graphic artist, Harvey Ross Ball, in 1963. Can you name where this was invented? Massachusetts, England, or Poland? Massachusetts. Which novel written by F. Scott Fitzgerald in 1925 holds the second position on the Modern Library Association among the 100 best novels of the 20th century? Romeo and Juliet, The Great Gatsby, or Memoirs of a Geisha? The Great Gatsby. Name the English singer, songwriter, and frontman of the rock group Cockney Rebel, formed in the 1970s. Steve Harley, Rod Stewart, or Mark Bolan? Steve Harley. The Society for Medieval Archaeology, founded in 1957, published journals under the name of Prehistoric Society of East Anglia, Medieval Archaeology, or Society for the Promotion of Roman Studies. Medieval Archaeology. The Ottoman Empire existed from 1299 to 1922, after which emerged the Turkish Republic. Name the last Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Mehmed VI, Osman I, or Mustafa IV? Mehmed VI, excuse me. MTV, launched in August 1981, had a monumental impact on the music, television, and movie industry. Do you know the first music video shown on MTV? Music and Me, Staying Alive, or Video Killed the Radio Star? Video Killed the Radio Star. These storage mediums, invented by IBM, became commonplace in the 80s and 90s until they were replaced by USBs and CDs, cassette tapes, floppy disks, or hard drives. Floppy disks. The first patented artificial heart was invented in 1982 by Paul Winchell. What do you think was his primary occupation? A plumber, a heart surgeon, or a ventriloquist comedian? A ventriloquist comedian. This American singing sensation released his first solo album, Got to Be There, in 1972. Can you name this singer? Bobby Farrell, Michael Jackson, or Louis Armstrong? Michael Jackson. The Rubik's Cube was invented in the year 1974 by Hungarian sculptor Erno Rubik. What was Rubik's Cube initially called? 3x3x3 cube, the Magic Cube, or Masterpiece Cube? The Magic Cube. This term, that's been used since 1972, describes new things that display characteristics of the recent past. What is that term? Retro, historic, or Victorian? Retro. Do you remember the Tetris puzzle game? Can you name this handheld device which made this puzzle addictive when it was released in 1989? The Atari Lynx, the Nintendo Game Boy, or Bit-Core Gamate? Nintendo Game Boy. What kind of aircraft was F-117 Nighthawk designed in 1989 that could deflect radar waves? Stealth aircraft, multi-role fighter, or stealth bomber? Stealth aircraft. A young Latina student of nursing came up with a soap and water replacement in 1966 to disinfect hands. What do you think it was? Rubbing alcohol, hand sanitizer, or isopropyl alcohol? Hand sanitizer. Consumers in 1987 could avail themselves of this disposable device. It was called the Fling. What did it relate to? Use and throw cutlery, Kodak's disposable camera, or use and throw innerwear? Kodak's disposable camera. She is America's favorite royal and called People's Princess, also known for her charity, humanitarian, and health causes. Was this Princess Grace, Princess Diana, or Queen Rania? Princess Diana. Can you name this lead singer regarded one of the greatest voices of the 70s? Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin, or Whitney Houston? Diana Ross. Can you name the singer called the Queen of Soul twice by Rolling Stone magazine, with 112 singles on the Billboard charts and having sold over 75 million records? Etta James, Gladys Knight, or Aretha Franklin? Aretha Franklin. Can you name the hippie queen of show business and the biggest female star in rock and roll history when she died so young? Etta James, Janis Joplin, or Grace Slick? Janis Joplin. Credited with restoring hard rock to the forefront of music, which lead single of Van Halen topped the Billboard Hot 100? Ain't Talking About Love, Jump, or Panama? Jump. A shift from the traditional way of teaching math in the 1960s that faced challenges and criticism was called New Math, Advanced Arithmetic, or Academic Math. New Math. Which bicycle company has been in business for over 100 years and has made some of the most iconic bicycles in history? Centurion, Schwinn Bicycle Company, or Beacon? Schwinn Bicycle Company. This television program, featuring country music's top stars, tasted initial success, but its CV rating suffered, causing its cancellation. Hee Haw, The Lineup, or Ozark Jubilee? Ozark Jubilee. Can you name the character who's a superhero by day and a fast food worker by night from a TV series aired between 1975 to 1979? Wonder Woman, Catwoman, or Elektra? Wonder Woman. Can you name the movie directed by Steven Spielberg in 1975 that has made a lasting public perception of these not-so-harmful sea creatures? The Meg, Piranha, or Jaws? Jaws. What is the name of this iconic photograph of the Earth taken by Voyager 1 from 6 billion kilometers away? the pale blue dot, Eartha, or Terra? Pale blue dot. Can you name the show that aired for 7 years, won 29 Emmy Awards, and whose main character was played by Mary Richards? The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Andy Griffith Show, or The Mary Tyler Moore Show? The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Which TV series was initially called Head of the Family, but later changed to what it became famous for? Saturday Night Live, Get Smart, or The Dick Van Dyke Show? The Dick Van Dyke Show. Venera 7, sent into space in 1970, was the first space probe to land on Venus. Which country sent this probe? The US, the Soviet Union, or China? The Soviet Union. The popular little black dress was invented by this famous fashion designer who died at the age 87 in the year 1971. Can you name this designer? Christian Dior, Elsa Schiaparelli, or Coco Chanel? Coco Chanel. Which train service began with 184 train services a day and 323 stations in 1971, with the first called Clocker? TGV, the Shinkansen, or Amtrak? Amtrak. Which TV dramedy series about army doctors that aired in 1972 had the largest audience in TV history for its final episode? MASH, The Band of Brothers, or The Pacific? MASH. Can you name the first manned vessel to reach Challenger Deep, the deepest point of the Mariana Trench, in 1960? Titan submersible, Trieste submarine, or the Cyclops 2? The Trieste submarine. Which was the first American network to become the first national cable channel in 1975? Star Network, Cinemax, or HBO? HBO. Whose concert in 1973 was watched by a greater number of people than the moon landing in 1969? Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, or Elvis's Aloha from Hawaii? Elvis's Aloha from Hawaii. A Walk on High Wires by stuntman Philippe Petit in August 1974 was accomplished at which iconic building? The Wills Tower in Chicago, the World Trade Center, or the Empire State Building? The One World Trade Center. This popular Italian educator spent 6 years in India during the World War II, establishing many schools, passing away in 1952. Who was this educator? Montessori, Dewey, or Piaget? Maria Montessori. Can you name the family band known for the popular 1960s song, Be My Baby? The Ronettes, Van Halen, or the Ramones? The Ronettes. Can you name this female solo singer nicknamed Goddess of Pop and known for the popular song I Got You Babe? Cher, Barbra Streisand, or Dusty Springfield? Cher. Can you name the all-women American band that were rivals to the Beatles? The Supremes, the Spice Girls, or Fleetwood Mac? The Supremes. Can you name this famous painter from Spain who's got 23 words to his name and is estimated to have produced at least 50,000 pieces of art? He died in 1973. Pablo Ruiz Picasso, Leonardo da Vinci, or Vincent van Gogh? Pablo Ruiz Picasso. Who is this popular singer who died in 1973, possessed an impressive IQ of 149, was also known for his love for poetry? Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, or Ray Manzarek? Jim Morrison. The only woman to win U.S. singles titles on all four surfaces, grass, clay, carpet, and hard court. She was also known to advocate women's rights and equal pay. Monica Seles, Billie Jean King, or Martina Navratilova? Billie Jean King. Can you name the historic first ever dome stadium opened in 1965? The Astrodome, Yankee Stadium, or Caesars Superdome? The Astrodome. Can you name this New York Times bestseller which stayed #1 for 28 weeks and authored by Jacqueline Suzanne? The Valley of the Dolls, Carrie, or The Wrecking Crew? The Valley of the Dolls. Name the rock music band from London formed in 1964 with popular hits like My Generation and Pinball Wizard. The Jam, The Who, or The Clash? The Who. Name the student-led protest calling for free speech democracy and free press in China. The Shibuya Crossing protests, the Plaza protests, or the Tiananmen Square protests? The Tiananmen Square protests. Name the large-scale operation which provided cargo, food, fuel, and supplies to isolated West Berlin, which totaled to nearly 300,000 flights. The Allied Forces Operation, the Berlin Airlift, or the West Berlin Aid? The Berlin Airlift. Can you name the conflict that arose in 1982 between Argentina and Great Britain over the island Malvinas? The APIPE War, Falkland Islands War, or the Entre Rios War? The Falklands War. Which Soviet president's actions triggered the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991? Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin, or Mikhail Gorbachev? Mikhail Gorbachev. The Chernobyl disaster of 1986 took place in Chernobyl, approximately 65 miles north of Kyiv, due to what reason? Due to war, earthquake, or an experiment gone wrong? An experiment gone wrong. Can you name at least one country that violated the agreements made in the Washington Naval Conference in 1921 to 22? Japan, Austria, or Korea? Japan. What is the name of the first full-scale test of a thermonuclear device? Operation Crossroads, the Manhattan Project, or Operation Ivy? Operation Ivy. Which three countries were the primary parties in the Western Bloc in the nuclear arms race? France, Spain, and Ireland, the US, the UK, and France, or the US, Scotland, and Wales? The US, the UK, and France. Can you name the male German Shepherd who was rescued from a World War I battlefield and who also gained stardom appearing in a number of movies? Rin Tin Tin, Lassie, or Benji? Rin Tin Tin. The United Nations, established in 1945 following World War II, has its headquarters in New York, Geneva, or Vienna. New York. Can you name the first multi-purpose international organization created in 1919? The United Nations, the Justice League, or the League of Nations? The League of Nations. What are glasnost and perestroika, initiated by Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev at the end of Cold War? New institutions, political and economic reforms, or political parties? Political and economic reforms. Can you name South Africa's first democratically elected president who spent more than 27 years in prison? Evelyn Mace, Hugh Masekela, or Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela. What do Louis Malle, Claude Chabrol, Francois Truffaut have in common in relation to the French New Wave, also called Nouvelle Vogue? Actors in the movie, highly individualistic French filmmakers, or Italian neorealism influence? Highly individualistic French filmmakers. This era in history was triggered by a Black Thursday, the day when the stock markets crashed, leading to a panic sell-off of stocks. The oil crisis, the Great Depression, or the economic shutdown? The Great Depression. Which U.S. president was in office at the beginning of the Great Depression of 1929? Herbert Hoover, Franklin D. Roosevelt, or Richard Nixon? Herbert Hoover. Abstract expressionism paintings, which grew popular in the 1950s, emerged in which city? Las Vegas, New York, or Florida? We also have states here. New York. Can you name this popular biologist, natural historian known for his narration for Wildlife on One from the years 1997 to 2005? Jane Goodall, Steve Irwin, or Sir David Attenborough? Sir David Attenborough. Which revolution resulted in the fall of the Pahlavi dynasty of Iran between 1978 to 1979? The White Revolution, the Iranian Revolution, or the Constitutional Revolution? The Iranian Revolution. In the winter of '57, a flu epidemic spread to several countries, from Hong Kong spreading to UK, Wales, and Scotland. What was the name of this epidemic? Black Death, the Hong Kong flu pandemic, or the Asian flu pandemic? The Asian flu pandemic. Name the 13-day political and military standoff between the U.S. and the Soviet Union in October of 1962. The Bay of Pigs, Cold War, or Cuban Missile Crisis? The Cuban Missile Crisis. What style of art are you talking about when you mention artists like Donald Judd and Dan Flavin, who were popular in the 60s? Abstract expressionism, minimalism artistic movement, or pop art? Minimalism artistic movement. What fashion in the 1960s clearly emerged as a symbol of rebellious youth culture? Pleated skirts, little black dress, or the mini skirt? The mini skirt. Which fashion icon is considered one of the first international supermodels of the 60s, drawing inspiration from Jean Shrimpton? Twiggy, Jackie Kennedy, or Mary Quant? Twiggy. Finding fame on Sesame Street and created by Jim Henson in 1966, this character is well known for the catchy phrase, "Me want cookie." The Cookie Monster, Grover, or Elmo? Cookie Monster. Name the former American racing driver who was named the U.S. Driver of the Year in 3 different decades. Mario Andretti, Michael Andretti, or Emerson Fittipaldi? Mario Andretti. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is also known as? No multiple choice here. Brickyard. Popular for being the First Lady in 1968, she was also earlier named Debutante of the Year in 1948. Was this Eleanor Roosevelt, Jacqueline Kennedy, or Barbara Bush? Jacqueline Kennedy. This popular singer of the 1969 hit Space Oddity with an unusual air of his eyes was? Angie Bowie, Eric Clapton, or David Bowie? David Bowie. The popular Woodstock Music and Art Fair in August 1969 was held at Bethel, New York, Woodstock, New York, or Wallkill, New York? Bethel, New York. Which popular singer immortalized the rock-style version of the Star-Spangled Banner in 1969? Eddie Van Halen, Eric Clapton, or Jimi Hendrix? Jimi Hendrix. The Roe v. Wade legal case of 1973 originated in which U.S. state? Colorado, Florida, or Texas? Texas. The European Union, formally created in 1992, was signed by which treaty? Brexit, the Maastricht Treaty, or the European Economic Community? The Maastricht Treaty. During the Gulf War of 1990, the British military operations were codenamed Operation Granby, Operation Sandstorm, or Operation Desert Storm? Operation Granby. Which war was the first to receive extensive televised coverage? The Vietnam War, the Gulf War, or the Korean War? The Gulf War of 1990. Name the groundbreaking book by Betty Friedan that was popular during the women's liberation movement. The Second Sex, A Room of One's Own, or The Feminine Mystique? The Feminine Mystique. Polio, caused by the polio virus, claimed at least 350,000 children worldwide in 1988. The vaccine was developed by who? Louis Pasteur, Jonas Salk, or James Watson? Jonas Salk? What do movies like Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore have in common? All have their setting in New York, the main actor is Robert De Niro, or all are directed by Martin Scorsese? All are directed by Martin Scorsese. Double Elvis, painted in 1963, a popular depiction of the king of rock and roll, is painted by who? Andy Warhol, Deborah Cass, or Peter Dayton? Andy Warhol. Which spacecraft launched in 1971 was instrumental in orbiting and mapping 85% of the Martian surface? Mariner 9, Mariner 3, or Mariner 1? Mariner 9. Which of these islands was discovered during the 1960s to the 1980s? The Solomon Islands, Didicus volcano, or Greenland? Didicus volcano. Which actor acted in the movie Star Trek as Captain James T. Kirk? Chris Pine, Leonard Nimoy, or William Shatner? This was in 1966. William Shatner. Question 91. Which gaming system was invented in the 60s to the 80s? The Nintendo Entertainment System, the Xbox, or Game Boy Advanced? Nintendo Entertainment System. Who is the brain behind the Muppets from Sesame Street? Jeff Moss, Jim Henson, or Carol Spinney? Jim Henson. Can you name this 1982 movie of a young boy, Elliot, befriending a friendly alien stranded on Earth? Mars Attacks, Aliens, or E.T.? E.T. Which was the first Japanese movie to receive vital international recognition, winning the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival in 1951? Seven Samurai, Rashomon, or Throne of Blood? Rashomon. Name the movie on the lives of traveling circus performers released in 1952. This went on to win the Best Picture and Best Story at the Academy Awards. The Greatest Show on Earth, The Ten Commandments, or High Noon? The Greatest Show on Earth. This American television sitcom I Love Lucy star has appeared 45 times more on the cover of TV Guide than any other celebrity. Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball, or Vivian Vance? Lucille Ball. The twist, the mashed potato, and the bunny hop were all dance phrases from which period? From the 50s to the 60s, from the 20s to the 30s, or from the 70s to the 80s? From the 50s to the 60s. What do Greyhound buses, Coca-Cola bottles, and S1 locomotive have in common? They were all founded in the same year. All logos were designed by Raymond Loewy, or all originated in New York. All logos were designed by Raymond Loewy. The Sunshine Skyway Bridge, opened in 1987, is in which state of the U.S.? Nevada, California, or Florida? Florida. Question 100. Can you name the show which featuring a child star reading stories and was aired from 1958 to 1961? Mother Goose, The Millionaire, or Shirley Temple's Storybook? Shirley Temple's Storybook. Bonus question. Who popularized the song What a Wonderful World, released in October of 1967? Let us know the answer in the comments. Thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and we will see you in our next quiz. Bye-bye.